Back, everybody, to the Darker Side podcast. I'm kind of doing things from home at the moment, so no fancy studio in the background. I'm sorry about that much. Anyhow, today we are reviewing and sort of talking about Hawthorne Heights and their brand new album that just came out, Bad Frequencies. Now, I'll start with this. They, as in the people, are saying that emo is making a comeback. I disagree. As much as an old school emo fan would love a revival of the scene, it just doesn't have the capacity to happen. With that said, there isn't a single other band I feel so badly for than Hawthorne Heights. They were my first concert at the age of 16 and one of the defining acts in the hardcore and emo scene back in the early 2000s and so forth. Since then, they've released 7 albums, a couple of EPs sprinkled in between, and a best of compilation. That's not to mention that they've been around since 2001. That's nearly 2 decades of music. And unlike bands in their genre such as Census Fail, Silverstein, Dashboard Confessional, Under Oath, Thrice, and The Used, they've had a whole ton of trouble staying relevant. Which is unfortunate, seeing as their latest album, Bad Frequencies, is pretty damn good. From the angsty lyrics to the catchy riffs and drum beats, it's an album that seems dedicated to the old school roots of the emo genre. And strangely enough, it's a refreshing relief, like a lost love letter being uncovered. Bad Frequencies is the EP Hurt, but in full throttle. It's entertaining, enlightening. You can easily connect to this record. It's friendly to new listeners and relevant to older fans. However, none of that seems to matter these days. Let me explain. First off, Hawthorne Heights has had way too many alienating changes made to their music over the past 17 years. Yes, even more alienating than the whole Census Fail phase that they had. Don't know what to call it. But ever since Casey Calvert's death back in the early 2000s, every record up until probably Hurt has been kind of wishy-washy. You never knew what to expect from the band, and that was a major problem. They weren't evolving. They were attempting too many different things without a change in their sound. Now, in 2018, they finally caught on to what the fans have been wanting, but it may be a little too late. The second and more important problem that the band faces is that they never play any new material during their live shows. Look up a set list for these guys and get ready to cry, because this band's set list has barely changed over the past 17 years, ever since the Silence in Black and White and a bit from If Only You Were Lonely. How can older and newer fans connect with their newer music if all they ever perform live for the audience is their oldest material? I'm all for hearing a band's original works, but Hawthorne Heights is literally catering to their fan base by piggybacking off of their original records, and that sucks. It sucks for the fans who may want to hear an evolution in the band's sound, and it sucks for the band who must play the same damn set list, stuck in limbo with no future left. And that's just it. How can any band have a future when they're so stuck in the past? So, there's my little rant and review. Bad Frequencies is a gem of a record full of memorable sounds and personal lyrics that connect to both an older audience and a newer generation. It shows struggle but provides insight in a positive light. But I have bets that this record will never reach the ears of a many handful of listeners. And it's due to one fact. Hawthorne Heights is hurting itself through bad marketing decisions and bad setlist direction. And more importantly, bad direction with their audience. They have failed to understand their audience's wants and their audience's needs, as well as the band's own needs for the past decade at the least. So, who knew that the razor blade could be a metaphor for a band so bent on ruining its own reputation? Thank you, everybody, for tuning in to another music review a part of the Darker Side podcast. Be sure to subscribe, like, all that jazz, and of course, we'll see you next week.